If you feel guilty when you don't hit reply quickly, this video is for you. Give me 10 minutes and I'd like to show you the pattern that it's protecting and a shift that you can use. Because you see, this is very rarely about email or information. This is normally about always being on and reachable and what that means for your body. Now, I've been that senior leader at the kitchen table in the evening, daughter's asleep, trying to switch off, then ping, email from a director, and my stomach churns. And my instant thought was, I should respond to show that it actually matters. So I replied quickly. I didn't really think it through, I just did it quickly. And for me, yes, it cost my mood, my presence at home, even my sleep. And here's the lie that we tell ourselves underneath it all. If I don't respond, it's going to look like it doesn't matter to me. So, if you're reachable all day and you're still behind, I just want you to know you're not disorganized. You're just trying to feel safe. Today I want to name that pattern without judgment. And I want to ask you a question, and hopefully that's going to change the way you see it. Because I also want to show you how it shows up and protects your work and your life, and how you can do that without risking your credibility. So what's the pattern? The pattern is always being on. Let's be clear, it's not who you are, but rather what you've learned to do under pressure from others. Now, most people are going to call this bad boundaries. I very rarely see that. For me, it's more often that someone is trying to prevent a specific pain. Usually, it's one of these. 1. Being seen as slow. 2. Being seen as difficult. 3. Missing something or being blamed. 4. Feeling out of control. 5. The discomfort of silence. 6. Fear of your perceived value is going to be dropped. Now, when I said those things, where did it resonate for you? Your head or your chest? Because you see, your nervous system doesn't care about your job title. It only cares about the threat. And in a lot of workplaces, silence gets treated like risk. So let me make this concrete for you. Let's say you get a message from a director or your line manager. It could be a project status check, maybe it's a simple update. In that moment, your system often hears something else. It hears this narrative of, prove you can handle it, prove you're on top of it, prove you care. And the story you tell yourself is sharp. It's the, if I don't reply quickly, they'll assume I can't handle it. Or they'll think I'm not on top of it. They'll think I'm scatty. And that's often where the pattern starts to kick in. Certainly what I've seen, where you land up replying fast because your attention is split. Now for me, it would often take about 30 minutes or so to get back into what I was doing. And what happened was the result was my team slowed down because I had actually stopped leading with clarity. I stopped giving them the structure and the support that they needed. And what would often happen is advice would be shortcutted, and at that moment there'd be more do-overs. I would eat lunch at a computer and work would invariably land up spilling into the evenings. And that's the trap. Because in the moment where all of that's going on, it feels like responsibility. But all it's doing is creating more work. I want to say this clearly. If this is happening to you, you're not weak. You care. Unfortunately, caring can turn into a reflex, and the reflex can drain you very quietly. So no, you're not lazy, you're interrupted, you're not behind, your attention is split, you're not failing, you're just trying to hold it all together. Now, I'm going to make this personal for 10 seconds because this isn't just a work issue. I remember having a moment at dinner and with my wife and my daughter, and I remember sitting there suddenly snapping back to the room and realized that I was missing key moments of my daughter's early development. It's not because I didn't love them or love being around them, but because my head was still at work. And I just remember being so frustrated with myself. So I'd take my phone into a different room, I'd turn it over, and I just remember thinking to myself at a point, no more. Life is bigger than my paycheck. I'm not trying to make this dramatic. I'm just would like to show you the moment that for me it became very clear. Because it was a decision that forced boundaries and priorities. It was a decision that changed how I led myself, and it's certainly a decision that would change how you lead yourself. Because it also leads to this one question that I'd like you to ask yourself very slowly. Are you able to be your best self when you're always on? Not your best working self, so your best worker, your best self. Because the patterns you place yourself in, they don't just shape your output, but they actually help shape your identity. I'm certainly not going to be that person to ask you to do a big pause right now. Just answer it in your head, honestly. What do you believe it actually says about you if you don't reply quickly? I know for a lot of high performers that I coach, as well as myself when I was in a corporate role, that the answer actually isn't quite flattering, it's just real. And it's that narrative of, if I'm reachable, if I'm not reachable, people assume I'm not committed. If I don't reply fast, it means I'm not doing what I should be doing. A good leader keeps everyone informed and on the page. And yes, for a lot of high performers, they carry the rule that a good leader will reply fast. But fast replies, they're not the same as leadership. Leadership makes a situation clearer for other people. It brings people with them. It raises others around them. So if you're having those thoughts, they don't make you irrational. They just point to the training you've had. Training from your culture, your family, your past workplaces perhaps. Maybe it was moments where being slow got punished. Because if you're honest, the fear isn't the email. The fear is what the email represents. Judgment, blame, loss of control, a hit to your credibility. So in turn, you do what we all do, which is stay reachable. Respond quickly, keep things as tight as you can, try to control all the risk factors. And that comes at a cost. So here's another question for you. And again, just answer it in your head. If the pattern was to continue for the next 6 months, what does it steal from you? Sleep? Patience? Mood? Presence at home? Decision confidence? Training? Friendships? Your ability to think clearly? Again, it's not about being dramatic. I just want you to be honest. Because when your work gets your best self, life gets what's left. And your body is going to get the invoice. Your health, your relationships, your focus, your sense of self. Something always gives. So I think it's time to remove a layer of self-blame in this. Because every interruption is going to force your brain to restart, and every restart throughout the day creates a busyness without progression. So, can you be on all day and still feel behind? Yes. But that doesn't make you flawed. It's just a predictable effect based on the circumstance that you're in. So, if your days are packed, and I mean packed, and nothing meaningful is actually happening or moving around you, just know that you're not lazy. There's interruption, and you keep restarting. So here's a shift for you. Stop proving you care with speed and start proving you care with clarity. Speed will always be misread. Clarity is hard to argue with. A fast reply is going to be thin and it's going to just create follow-ups. More misunderstandings and more work. A clear response, a clear reply is going to protect you. It's also going to protect your team. It's going to protect the delivery. So instead of replying instantly, reply clearer, short, specific, complete. It could look like if someone asks for an update, don't just send, yeah, got it under handle, it's all good. Actually give it the progress, where you're at, what you're waiting on, what the next step is, when you're going to update them by. This is how you create reliability and reduce noise. And that ultimately is going to protect your own attention. Quite often when I'm coaching individuals, I ask them to protect a block of time each day where they become unreachable unless someone calls. Not because you're trying to be difficult, but it's about being able to deliver to the level that you can and should be delivering to. And this really matters, particularly in corporates and in some cases a lot of SMEs, because people respect consistency more than constant access. So I always say set a line, a line that you can repeat, that your staff, that your team, that your colleagues, they will understand. I'm in focus time right now so that I can actually work on this and deliver it properly. If it's urgent, call me. Everything else, leave it to email. That's it. There's no apology, there's no long explanation, there's no over-defending. Clarity is your new boundary. Now, your brain's going to fight this because it likes the familiar and it's going to offer you old stories. Stories like, they'll think I don't care. They'll think I'm not committed. They'll think I'm not on it. Those are your old rules. Meet them with the new truth. Your value is not your response time. Your value is your judgment, your delivery, your stability. Think about that in your own experience. When you message someone senior, what do you want back? You don't want them to panic speed you back. You want a response that you can trust in the situation. That's your target. Trust, not constant proof. And I often get back, but what about urgency? What if it's an urgent? Yes, sometimes it's urgent. Real urgency is going to have a very clear signal. Real urgency is going to have a defined escalation. And you get to determine what channel that comes through on. Life and death scenarios are urgent. They absolutely are. A defined escalation is urgent. Everything else can wait for the focus block. The difference is what we label as urgent, because often it's labeled as pressure and expectation. And it's the expectation we place on ourselves. So let this boundary become professional, not emotional. So I'm protecting time so that I can deliver this properly. If it's urgent, call me. Reachable is not the same as reliable. Reliable is clarity, delivery, boundaries you can keep. Reachable is just a constant availability and it creates shallow work. You don't want to be, nor do you need to be constantly available to be respected. You need to be clear, consistent, and stable. Now, if any of this resonated, I don't want you to turn this into yet another thing that you need to do perfectly. I just want you to notice the pattern, name what it's protecting you from, and name what it's costing you. If you want help applying it to your actual situation, book a 30-minute call, 30-minute strategy call below. I will say this is for action takers who can't see through the fog right now. This isn't for anyone looking for a quick ABC checklist. Because on the call, we're going to do 3 things. We're going to get clear on what's driving your reachability, identify the triggers, and set measurable next steps that you can follow in. You're going to leave with that path, even if you decide to not take it any further. Now, if you want the first step today, do this. Pick a message you're about to send. Give yourself a minute, make it clearer, make it complete. And then go and protect a block of focus time for tomorrow. And if you want to share, I'd love you to comment with your insight on this and also how it shows up for you. And finish with your own lived experience. And if you want help applying this without risking your credibility, that strategy call link's below.